So I haven't checked up on The View in a little while, but decided, but I saw a couple of clips floating around on Twitter, so I decided that it may be a good time to catch back up with the women on The View. Now, we don't usually like The View around here. They're like really centrist, moderate, even sometimes right wing. They hold a lot of contempt towards the progressives. They hold a lot of contempt towards. I remember last thing I heard from them is they were getting really mad at people saying Biden is old and he's disconnected from a younger America, and they were mad because they're like getting older and they're disconnected from modern America. But with all that being said, we have to give credit where credit is due, and I think credit is very much due here. They had a pretty good segment, and I think that me praising The View is going to be one of the weirdest things on my channel for at least of 2020 so far. But I'm going to give it up to them. They did a pretty good job here.
Now that Joe Biden is our president-elect, some progressive activists and politicians who supported him want to make sure he includes people in his administration who represent their interests. So what does this mean? Should we trust him to put folks in and see what he does, or should we just give him a list of stuff we want done and go from there? Sarah, I'll start with you. What do you think?
I have no clue why you believe that you could just trust politicians to do the right thing. They've proven time and time again that they won't do the right thing. So absolutely not. We shouldn't just see what Biden does and then work it out from there. No, constant pressure on politicians to push them in the right direction because they won't do it themselves. They've proven this to be true over and over again, especially Biden. He needs a good push from the left. He needs his policy to be pulled on. And just the title of this clip says a lot for me personally. It says a lot. It's called "Does Biden Owe Progressives Anything?" Well, considering that progressives did a whole bunch of work in Pennsylvania to get him elected, organizing a lot of people there, how a lot of African American and activists of color did so much work in Georgia to make sure that it flips blue, basically completely cutting off Trump's bid for the presidency. That basically single-handedly stopped his bid in the presidency for the presidency. That win in Georgia. Obviously, you could past victories existed from other flanks, but Georgia is one of those ones that he just couldn't afford to lose, and they made him lose it. So, for the mere fact that he's in office, he owes them something, and for the fact that they are part of his constituency, yes, he owes them something because he's supposed to be representing them.
Well, Biden's at the top of the ticket, so it is up to him. That's what he was voted to do. And I think a lot of people who voted for him wouldn't have necessarily voted for a Bernie Sanders. So it was his more moderate views that I think secured a lot of that victory. Now, the progressives make up a huge part of the Democratic Party, so I definitely think they have a place at the table. They just shouldn't be hosting the whole dinner party. I like the idea of them pulling some of his ideas. I think there's a place for them to contribute. One of them is working wages. We saw in Florida that the state went Republican, but on that same ballot, they voted through a $15 minimum wage by 2026, I think it was. So it shows that the party of the working class needs to speak to those working class people that are sometimes voting Republican. I also think student loan forgiveness is an area where we can all get on the same page. But I think there's always a place for people. Biden and Harris are showing right now that they're appointing people with diversity. And I think that there's a space for ideological diversity as well. They spoke a little bit about even having maybe Republicans in the cabinet. So I think we're going to see a pretty vast array of people and ideas coming forth to lead the Biden administration.
Okay, so I wanted to give them a couple of points on this one specifically, which was mentioning that in Florida, Biden lost. I don't even think that people in Florida knew that Biden wanted to raise the minimum wage, but on paper, he wants to raise the minimum wage, and he got blown out in Florida. So with that being said, I mean, that's good that she was able to realize that the Democrats have not been able to reach these working class voters. I feel like that's a talking point that I would use. I think I've actually used that talking point. Reaching out to Republicans, having Republicans in the cabinet. Yeah, you're right. I have no clue how's that a good thing whatsoever, having Republicans in the cabinet. I don't know. I don't know this fetishization of having a diverse, having an ideologically diverse group of people in. How about a bunch of people who have a goal of making the country better and not people who are Republicans. I'm gonna make the line there. I'm sorry, it is that line exists. People want to make the country better, and Republicans. So I'm not sure if I'd necessarily be happy if my waiter said that he was going to get me a very diverse plate to taste when I go to a sit down restaurant, and it's like filet mignon, lobster, a really like a cheese I've never heard of, but like it's pretty cool, and rat shit, just like actual like the rat pellets, like the shit, like the poop. It's just like a little cup right there, and it's just sitting there, but it has like an origami like swan on it, so it's fancy, but it's just like rat shit. I wouldn't be like, and he puts it down, he's like, monsieur, I gave you a very diverse plate to taste. Yes. I'd be like, what the excuse like, I don't think this is a good thing, you know? I just don't think that just because there's a lot of diversity doesn't mean that diversity is good. Especially if there's people in there who would actively try to undermine the more progressive parts of Biden's policy. That doesn't seem like a good thing. It's pulling them in the wrong direction. So that is just that's just cringe.
What do you think, Joy? Should we be watching to see what he's doing and then making suggestions, or should people start out by saying, we want you to do this and this? What's your take?
Yeah. Well, the progressives have very good ideas, and the American people agree with the progressive ideas. They want health care to be affordable and readily available. They want somebody to take care of the fact that the climate is changing and to have respect for science. They want allocation of funds, I would think, if presented correctly, and not that you defund the police, but that you reallocate funds so that you have social workers and other important people dealing with problems like that. And by the way, I just think that Jill Biden should be the Secretary of Education. She has a PhD in education, and she's going back to the classroom. But I think she would be much more effective to take over for Betsy DeVos, who basically should be a bit an eraser monitor at this point. Just be an eraser monitor. That's the qualifications you have, darling. I would like to see Pete Buttigieg be the ambassador to the United Nations, or give him any job, really. The man is so competent and so capable. I think he could run the country if he had the chance. So there are wonderful people in the Democratic Party, and I'm so happy that they're going to be in there pretty soon so that we can all relax.
So I wanted to give a couple of points on there too. I thought, you know what? I thought it was pretty good. Understanding that progressive values are not just progressive values. There are American values, in the sense that that's what working class people want. Working class ballot initiatives, working class progressive ideals passed anytime they're on the ballot. Legalizing marijuana, expansion of unions, the tearing down of right to work laws, the expansion of minimum wage, all of these things, all of these big, like, sort of progressive ideals passed in conservative and liberal states alike, but Biden didn't. It's really interesting, that, isn't it? How someone who's supposed to be this, like, a liberal bulwark or whatever, be so in tune with what America wants, can't get past in the country, in the states that they're supposed to be representing. It's really interesting, that, isn't it? So I wanted to give her a lot of points there. No, don't put Buttigieg anywhere. Buttigieg can go back to Indiana and do whatever the fuck he's doing. He can enjoy his podcast. You know, he has a podcast. He can go on and do that. I'm not sure if he's necessarily, I don't know why he comes off as so competent and capable to Joy Behar, as he's only been a mayor. And that's it. Maybe the slow talking and the hand movements really sways a lot of these people, but I don't think that necessarily translates to a bunch of experience. He doesn't just, like, gain experience off of that, but, you know, whatever.
And so, what should this administration look like in your mind, Sonny? Is it something we should wait and see what Joe's going to do, or should we be dictating it?
Well, you know, I certainly think that it should reflect not only the composition of our country in terms of diversity, but it also has to reflect the voters' values. And I agree with Joy in that, you know, if you look at this election, progressive incumbents in swing districts overwhelmingly won re-election. Every incumbent.
I'm just going to stop her in the middle of that. I'm sorry. Thank you. It's reaching. It's getting in. We're getting in there. We're digging in there, boys. And they can't shake reality as much as they tried to before. They can't shake it anymore. You just can't leave. You just can't shake it anymore. Progressives, even in swing districts, even in Republican heavy districts, win. Moderates don't. It doesn't happen. It doesn't work that way. They feel more. Just because they feel more like in the center, they feel safer. They're not safer. They're just not. Moderates in swing districts who didn't support things like a Green New Deal, didn't support things like a $15 minimum wage, didn't support things like Medicare for all, lost. The progressives who did, they won. All of them. Not a single progressive lost their reelection bid. Not one. Okay? Even the ones in swing districts from D+2 to R+6. Okay? All of those districts, not a single one of them lost. So I'm not gonna sit here and try to have a lot of these people pretend that they're not that progressive ideals aren't winners, because they are winners, and I'm so glad that she was able to point it out there. That's a really good point.
Incumbent that supported Medicare for all and co-sponsored Medicare for all in a swing district kept their seat. And also these progressive people, that are calling them progressive ideas or socialist ideas, those ideas won convincing victories across the country, including in purple and red states. Voters in Florida, as Sarah mentioned, passed a $15 an hour minimum wage. 4 states legalized marijuana. There was a poll that a majority of Americans support progressive policies, which are higher minimum wage, free college, paid maternity leave, government funding for childcare, tuition-free college. And so really, I think that this administration needs to reflect those views, because America has spoken. Those are the views that America supports, not this sort of conservative right-wing agenda. That's just not true.
Right. And
this is what I was talking about when I said that I'm gonna have to praise The View on here. I'm gonna have to do it. Look, you gotta give props when props are due. You're right. That was Pog. That was, what a good thing to just, and all of these people, because this show appeals to a certain type of person, probably not the person who necessarily would feed into a lot of progressive ideals or watch a lot of progressive news. To have these sort of talking points, these irrefutable facts, be taken to these people where they are and hit them right here, coming from a show that they trust, The View, that's incredible. This is incredibly helpful. If they can keep hitting on this and put this down into the minds of people in suburban type people who watch The View, this could be a game changer. This is why I say that I'm so optimistic about what the future entails. Because right now progressives are not only because in 2018. Progressives and progressive ideals, they're like, whatever, like cute little thing that wins in a D plus 50 trillion districts, but that's not very viable anywhere else. Now, with progressives running and winning and maintaining their seats in Republican heavy, moderate, and light Democratic districts, it's showing them that the bend that they're on, just always trying to appeal to the Republican, always trying to beat the Republicans and being how communist they can be, and trying to be so incredibly cool to the righties. How do you do, my fellow conservatives? That type of meme. It won't work anymore. It doesn't take you anywhere. And how Biden actually almost lost this election should show you that this isn't helpful. It won't help you. It won't. Progressive ideals are American ideals. And so I just had to give props to that. That is amazing. It is so refreshing to see really good takes coming out of The View. And with all the other women there nodding their heads, maybe there are a couple of wine moms in suburbia nodding their heads along too. And maybe in 2 years, when a progressive's running in their district, they remember this clip and go, maybe that's someone I should look out for. So I'm down for it. I am down for it.